Hello and welcome to Prime Code Media. This is the 10th episode of our HTML for Beginners series. My name is Sana Mabena. In this video, I'll be showing you how to create an HTML form. I believe we've all been to a website or websites where we were asked to enter our details such as our names and contacts, either to sign up, to subscribe, to submit an inquiry, to purchase something, and so on. We are able to create these types of forms by using the HTML form element. The HTML form element starts with a form tag. The form tag has an opening and a closing tag. The HTML form tag allows us to use different types of form elements to submit information. On its own, though, the form tag doesn't provide any kind of functionality. It doesn't work. For it to have some functionality or to work, form tags require the use of elements, and there's quite a number of these form elements. For example, there's the input element, the label element, the select element, and so on. Now in this video, our focus will be mostly on the most used elements or form elements, namely the label and the input elements. But before I go ahead, I think it's important that I say this, that when it comes to creating forms, we are limited when it comes to creating forms without the JavaScript. It is only with JavaScript where we have more options in terms of the functionality of the forms. But be that as it may, even without the JavaScript, we can still be able to create the forms and make them useful. This is what we are going to be focusing on in this episode. Now, still on the most used HTML form elements, the input element. Again, the input element on its own doesn't provide functionality. It doesn't work. It does absolutely nothing on its own. For it to work, we have to specify its type, which means the type defines the functionality of the input element. Now, put differently, what this means is that how an input element works depends on the value of its type attributes. Now, let's see practical examples of how these elements are used to create HTML forms. To do that, I am going to use CodePen. I am inside CodePen here. The first thing that I am going to do, I am going to include the form tag. The form tag has an opening and a closing tag. Inside here, let me put in my first form element. It will be a label. This is the label. Inside here, let's just write your name. So we are going to ask the user to provide a name. So for the user to be able to provide a name, we have to give the user an area where they will be able to type their name. Let's do that. We are going to include the input element. And because we want the user to provide their name, the type here will be text. Now, as you can see here, the type is text. Let's see if they will be able to put in their name. Let me put in my name just to test this. So the user will be able to put in their name. So once the user has typed their name, what do we want them to do? We want them to submit their name. To do that, we need to give them what they will use in order to submit their name. That will be an input element. The difference will be the type. The type will be submit. Now you will see here. Now here is the submit button. Now we did not even have to go through the trouble of designing the submit button. By just specifying this type here, we get the submit button. So which means the user will now be able to type their name, And once they've typed their name, they will be able to do what? To submit. Now let's include other types and see what we will get when we use other types. Let's put in the input. It's in small letters. Okay, let's see which one we can also put to test. Let's check the checkbox. Okay, the check box. Let's see what we get when we. Now here's the checkbox. You will be able to check, check, check and check, check and check. So this is what we get. We get this check and check box by just including this here, by just specifying it here as the value of this type of attribute. Let's put in another one and see what we get. I like to play around with these type elements, type attributes. I think this is also important as part of the learning process. Let's put in the password. Okay, and see how different it is from these other types. Now, when you are looking at these boxes look the same, but they are not the same. So here we were able to write our name. So it is a text box. This is a password box. You will see when we start writing here inside here, the details we put in are by default masked. This is because it is a password. So we do absolutely nothing in terms of masking these details. By putting this, everything that you put in here will by default be masked. Okay, let's go ahead and put in another one under here. We'll say input type. Which type can we go with? Let's go with the range. Let's check the range. So you can see this is the range. So you can move this, you can move this left to right. So this is the range. Let me just put line breaks so that we have these input types on top of each other. Let me put in line breaks BR, their self-closing tag. Okay, let's put in another one here. Okay, and another one here. All right, so let's move ahead and try another one. See. Okay, we had the range. Now let's try the month. Let's see how it looks. Now here's how it looks. So you will see when I click here on this calendar icon or symbol, you'll see what happens. I get the calendar. You see, I get the calendar, and with this calendar you can just decide which month you want to select, and then you'll get the date and so on. So this is the month type. It gives you this, as you can see, this month, and then you are able to clear this information if you want to clear it, and then if you press here, it comes up again. You see, so if you click on this month, and then it will give you the current month. Now let's put in the last one. There's quite a number of them that you can also check out, but I'll just put in this one and see this color. Now the color, let's see what it gives us. Okay, it gives us this bar. Let me put in the line break again here so that we have this. All right, so here is the color. You'll see when I click here, I get this color picker. So this color picker comes out, and then you can select your own color. So using this color picker, there's a lot of options that you will have when it comes, you will see that it also has the hexadecimal code. Here's the hex code. So when you move this, you will see that you can have a color of your choice by just changing here. So this is the option that you have. So these, as I said earlier on, the input types. There's the different types of them. So the attribute, it is the same attribute. The difference is the type, the value of the type attribute. That is why you get, by just using different values, you get different functionalities or different uses of this type attribute. While the input attribute is one of the most used form elements, it is also important to note that it is not the only one. There are those other form elements that are not mostly used, but still they are also important, and it is very also important that you also check them out and know how to use them, because at some point you might find yourself having to use a form or to create a form, and only to find that it does not have the elements that are mostly used. So you'll still have to find out and know more about these other types of form elements, although they are not the most used form elements. One of those that I want to show you is called the field set. The field set element is used to group related data in a form. Now let's create this field set. I want to show you how it works. The field set, it has an opening and a closing tag. Now this is the field set. The field set looks like this. Inside the field set here, the first thing that I am going to include is the legend, opening and closing tag again. Now the legend that defines the caption for the field set element. Let's put in here let's say personal details. So this is the caption, and then underneath here, let's use the label. You remember we just discussed the label element as one of the most used element alongside the input element. Here let's put in first name as an example. Again, let's give the user an area where they will be able to type in their first name. We'll use the input element, and the type, remember, it is what? The text, input text type. So they will be able to type their name inside this text box here. And okay, let's put in another one for let's put in, before we put in another input element, let's just put in the label element, because we also wanted their last name. Remember, we first asked their first name, so we'll also need their last name. Okay, let's put in a last name. All right, and again, we need to provide the user an area where they will type their last name, and this, to do that, we'll use the type element, and then the attribute value will be text. So the user will have an area to type in their first name and an area to type in their last name. Let's just use, I think, how about we just use the line breaks? Let's use the line breaks so that everything, this line around are arranged differently, like so. Okay, so what we are going to do right here, we are going to now include another element. Once they have typed in their details, so what do we want them to do? We want them to submit that information. Okay, so for them to submit that information, we need to give them an area where they can submit, or give them what they need to use in order to submit their first and second name. We are going to provide them with the submit button. So a submit button will work. Let's see if a submit button. Yes, now here's how it is. If you want to create a bit of space here, we can create a bit of space here. Let's just see if we include the line break here, what do we get? I just want everything to be visible. Okay, maybe we also need to include the line break here as well. So yeah, it looks much better. So let's just include another one, just so that we have a space between these two boxes right here. Let's see if we just want to make sure that these boxes do not touch each other. Okay, now we should have included it right here. Sorry about that. Okay, right. Now you'll see how it looks. Now there's a bit of space here. Now this is the field set. The field set, as I said earlier, the field set element is used to group related data in a form. So this is related data. It is the first name and the last name, and what we want the user to do once they've provided these details is to submit to us. Okay, so this is the legend. The legend element defines the caption for the field set element. This is the legend. We were able to define it right here, and this is just another type of HTML forms. As I said, that there are many different types of HTML form elements. This is just one of them. It is not a widely used type of form element, but it is also important that although it is not widely used, but you must know how to create it. The most important thing is to know and understand how forms are created and how you can use the different types of elements to create your HTML forms. For further reading on this topic, you can check the w3schools.com website. They have a list of form elements, as you can see right here. There are those that we did not even touch on. For example, the button, we discussed the field set, but we did not go as far as the data list, the output, the option, and so on. Please check this website out. They even have examples of how you can use these different types of form elements. Another website that you can also check out, the MDN web docs at developer.mozilla.org. They also have an extensive documentation on this topic with examples and lots of information on the HTML form elements. Now in this episode, we learned how to create HTML forms and how to use them. In our next episode, we will use what we've learned to add a contact form to our website project. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to this channel. Click that bell icon to get notifications when new videos come out. And let's code again next time. Goodbye.